What's going on, you guys? Links Forte here. I have a new doc that I've sort of been working on. Let me guys give you the history because this was not my idea. It was just something I was given permission to finish in a sense. So um back at the start of the last season of NPA, which I think was season 4 if I'm not mistaken. Um I was in Moonlight Swami's front office, and he had already begun this project of listing every Pokemon by tier and differentiating them in different types of ways. Like basically just trying to figure out what's the what's like what Pokemon in each tier you get the best bang for your buck in a sense. I don't have the doc in front of me, so I can't remember what it looked like. This was back in January. We're now at the end of September. Um, anyway, so he had that doc, and he and I went back and forth a little bit about what he wanted to do with it. So then I created this sort of doc that allowed him to put his team in front of him, and then put his opponent's team right there as well. And then you would see all the stats, and then specific moves such as priority moves, hazard moves, hazard removal moves, and different things like that. So that began this long process thing. However, that was never meant to be the main thing. Swami always had this idea of creating this giant doc that that housed it housed like one page per Pokemon, and it would tell you what this Pokemon was good at, if it had coverage moves and different things like that. If you guys want to know more, honestly, you can go to Swami. He may or may not remember the entire idea, but he and I were working on it like hand in hand. Mostly just me helping him. Like if he had an idea and he wasn't sure how to go about it, then I would jump in. Or if something just became too much on his plate, then I would jump in. It all started with him, and then when he got his new job, Pokemon just was not. I don't want to say it wasn't as important to him anymore. It had to take a huge backseat. Um, so I asked him, it's like, hey, do you mind if I do something similar? Because what he was planning, that probably would have, like, even working on it, a little bit every day, that might have taken a year and some change maybe. So yeah, I asked him, it's like, hey, do you mind if I do something similar to what you're gonna do? And he basically gave me his blessing. So what he was gonna do and then what I ended up creating here are, in a sense, very different. What I have here is a little more interactive. I don't think what he was planning was going to be as interactive. I think it was just a couple pages or whatever. Anyway, so what I have here is meant to be like a draft aid document. So what it'll allow you to do is basically when you're drafting your team, you can see what you have and what you need to get still. And then when you're battling throughout the season and trying to team prep, it'll help you prep in a sense. Now, I also want to state that before I quote unquote finish this doc, I did ask opinions from Kelly, Leo, and Greg, and they all gave me some different types of feedback, what I should add and what I should move around, change, and yada yada yada. But that was basically before I didn't ask them until I felt I was confident enough to where I wouldn't have to make too many crazy changes. Now there were some things that they suggested that I decided it would take too much work. Like putting this together, I think Swami stopped playing Pokemon back in like February or March. And basically I had been working on this little by little from then until basically 2 weeks ago. And I was pretty much done at that point. And then I just asked those people, Kelly, Leo, and Greg, hey, do you like this? Is there anything I can add? What should I take out? Kind of things like that. So anyway, let me break this down as to what I have and hopefully what will help you. So this here is the type chart, as you can see it by this tab here. Actually, you can't even see my mouse, but whatever. As you can see, here is a type chart at the bottom, as you can see on the bottom tab. The type chart just lists the different types. That way, oh man, I'm going up against Aerodactyl. Wait, is Aerodactyl weak against rock? I can't remember if rock resisted. So, well, Aerodactyl's typing is rock flying. So I'll just go down to its, oh wait, you can't see my mouse. Then what the hell was I talking about? Anyway, so you just go to the rock typing. Once you click the rock typing, it's going to go through this long drawn out process because for whatever reason, it's really slow right now. And it's going to populate here on the side. So typing is rock. Primary and secondary, it doesn't matter. If you wanted to go to flying, you could have done that too. So it's like, oh, you have all the rock types. Well, okay, so Aerodactyl is rock flying. Let me just highlight this entire row here. Now I see all the, oh, you could have done this too, it doesn't matter. Now I see all of the rock, I see all the rock and flying type weakness. Okay, so I want to know if it's weak against rock type moves. So I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to scroll down. Yes, Aerodactyl is in fact weak against rock type moves. And you can do it for all typings. Even types that don't exist. Such as, I really can't think of one right now. Does fairy dark exist? I don't know. I can't think of a type off the top of my head that doesn't exist right now. But yeah, if a type doesn't, even if a type doesn't exist, it's still there. So that's this whole thing. If you remove that, then it just says select the type from the drop down menu to the left to remind you what to do in case you see this blank tab. All of them say that if it's blank, except for like the last two, I think. Anyway, next up, this here is basically the entire Pokedex. We go from Bulbasaur to Zeraora, and the different forms are included as well. So we have all Silvally types. Just Silvally, no type is normal. Same goes for Gourgeist and Pumpkaboo. They're all there, even though the difference there is basically stats. But I do know some leagues will split different forms and things like that. Zygarde's here as well. Arceus is also here. It's basically the same as Silvally. No type is normal. And then they all have their abilities. The ones that are underlined, they take you back to Bulbapedia's page. So you can, if you don't know what an ability does, you can just click that link. Some of them don't. Yeah, see like Poison Heal here, for whatever reason, doesn't. But I'm pretty sure if I go to Glasgar's page, you can get there from Glasgar's page. If I know where Glasgar, yeah. Wait. Yeah, Glasgar here has Poison Heal, so you can get there. In most cases, there is a link somewhere on this page to go back to Bulbapedia if you don't know what an ability does. If not, just go to Cerebi or Bulbapedia. I'm sorry if that's too much work for you. Another thing about this page here is because speed tiers are a thing, a very important thing. If you wanted to come here and say, man, I need a Pokemon that's over base 100 speed, well, you can come over here, click this little down arrow, which is the filter, and you can say filter by condition, and then just click this option here, and then you just scroll down and say, you say greater than or greater than or equal to, and then type in, well, if you need a greater than 100, just click OK. Just type in 100 and click OK. Now you have every Pokemon in the game that is greater than 100. If you need a specific type, I mean, I didn't want to make it too much because there are other ways I've sort of filtered this whole process out. But yeah, if you need something like the ones that are like greater than 110, just like in between anything really. So if like, oh man, I need a Pokemon that's between 90 and 100, because like that 95 speed or just anywhere in that range is usually pretty good. So you just do that same thing except go in is between, and then you type in 90 and 100, and now you get Pokemon, every single Pokemon that's between that. And you can do the same thing for any of these other stats. So let me clear that out. So yeah, every Pokemon is listed. All their abilities are listed. All their stats are listed. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss any Pokemon. Also on this page, which is not so important, but I just want, like, everything pulls pretty much from this page. If a Pokemon gets hazards, it's here. Ignore this T spike. I know it's spikes with an S. I needed to do that so for filter purposes. Because on another page, you know, you have spikes and then you have toxic spikes. If I had just left it spikes and then you just search for spikes, it would have pulled up everything and then it wouldn't have filtered the way I needed it to filter. So just ignore that. It's toxic spike. I think there's another one somewhere in one of these things that I did the same thing for. So just ignore that. Hazard control. So remember what I said about with Swami originally doing this? Like I said, I started this with his base form map or something like that. And one of the things he had for hazard control was poison. I feel like there's another one. I think maybe I did put magic bounce on here at some point. Give me a second. Because I can't remember if Leo or Greg told me to put magic bounce as a form of hazard control. Deontay. Mega Deontay. Yeah, okay. So magic bounce is in there as hazard control. And then Espeon has it as well. I could have just typed in Espeon. But whatever. So forms of hazard control in there: poison, default, rapid spin, magic bounce. Those are the 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. I did consider Brick Break. And Leo, I think, told me it might not have been necessary, which I'm kind of glad he did, because when I looked up Brick Break, I did not realize how many Pokemon actually got Brick Break. So yeah, it would have taken me maybe not that long, but I was gonna put it in there, and he said not to. He didn't think it was necessary. Next is the priority list. Just any attacking move that has priority in of itself. Cleric moves, so like Shed Skin, Heal Bell, Aromatherapy. Ignore these, like they just go into another field because it overlaps. If nothing's there, it's gonna overlap. Healing Wish is there also. I think that's it. I'll get into all these more later. Anything that recovers your HP is here, or at least it should be here. Healing Wish is not, because that's under the Cleric tab. Momentum, U-turn, Baton Pass, Volt Switch, Parting Shot. I think that's it. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. And then status moves. So I remember specifically Greg, he said what would be helpful. I kind of want to pull up my Discord, but I don't want to do that. He gave me a lot of options. He said something like speed control would be good. Man, that was really the one thing I remember. I can't remember everything he told me, but that was one of the things that I knew would have taken me a long time to do, because I would have to go in and manually, like, everything here is I manually did it. And that would have, because he gave me like 4 categories, and doing those 4 categories would have taken me a while. And what I wanted to do was, when it comes to something like speed control, like having like trick room setters, because I think that was something like he mentioned, that's a play style, and I wanted to do it to where, you know, it was kind of like a requirement. But I understand, like, I'm using this to help everyone, but in the interest of time and ease, there was a lot I didn't want to add, and I wanted to make sure, like, I just did like the basic kind of stuff. So yeah, using what he suggested, I created this column called status moves. So toxic, poison powder, will-o-wisp, yawn, sleep powder, spore, glare, anything that can cause a status that's not an attacking move is in this column. And then there's this column to let you know if a Pokemon is weak to rock, and that was one Kelly suggested to me. So this is this tab. Honestly, the thing that you're probably going to use this tab the most for is just filtering, like, your stats, trying to find something of a certain speed stat or a certain HP stat, or probably mostly speed stat, but that's what you're probably going to use this tab for. Next up is, so this is where all the filters come into play. You're filtering by different things. The first one is you're filtering by a type. Say you're trying to create your fire, water, grass core, and you need a water type. You just come up here, select your water, and no matter if it's a primary or if it's a secondary, it's gonna show up if it's a water type Pokemon. It does it for all types. Any other condition as far as this does not matter. Whatever type you were looking for, this is here. So that's that. This next one is searching for hazard type. So Stealth Rock, Spikes, Toxic Spike, and Sticky Web. This is what I meant here when I said I needed this to be different. I needed Toxic Spikes to be different than Spikes, because had I just left it as Spikes, then if I filtered just Spikes, see, this will pop up saying any Pokemon that has Spikes. Had I just left it as Toxic, have I just left it Toxic Spike as Toxic Spikes, if a Pokemon does not get Spikes, like Coughing and Wheezing for instance, they get Toxic Spikes, but they do not get Spikes, they would have shown up on this list when they shouldn't be on this list. Because if they get other moves, that's cool, but this is primarily ones that get Toxic Spikes. So, you know, that's the filter for the hazards. Hazard removal, basically I just put Defog and Rapid Spin. The poison typing I kind of just left alone. Yeah, it's, if a Pokemon gets Defog, it'll pop up. And these are all the Pokemon that get Defog in the game. The one thing I do want to mention is something like Ditto and Smeargle. They are not on any of these filters. They are only on this Pokemon tab because Ditto, obviously, and then Smeargle because it can learn anything. It's a situational kind of thing. So there was no reason to kind of like, I would have had to type any and everything at that point, and there was no reason to. But yeah, this is the filter for hazard removal. And then, so this one I didn't consult anybody on. I just kind of like, yo, these are some notable abilities that I could think of off the top of my head. So we have Intimidate, Levitate, Frisk, Mold Breaker, Unaware, Prankster, and Regenerator. I'm gonna do some editing right here in the middle because I just thought of something. When I was talking about Magic Bounce, there is a Pokemon that I don't think I put as having it for removal. Oh no, I did. So wait, something, because I think it only popped up twice. No, it's all there. So wait, there's more Pokemon that get Magic Bounce than I thought. Maybe because I only use like 3 Pokemon that get Magic Bounce. Oh yeah, Xatu and Natu are things too. Anyway, go back to what we were doing. Searching by ability. Intimidate, Levitate, Frisk, Mold Breaker, Unaware, Prankster, and Regenerator. These are the ones off the top of my head that I could think of that might have been useful. Magic Bounce might be something that is useful. I could probably put that in here as well. But these are just the ones. So if something gets Intimidate, no matter where on the line it gets Intimidate, if it's their secondary ability or if it's their hidden ability, it will populate that they do indeed get Intimidate. That's the abilities. And healing, this has Wish, Heal Bell, Aromatherapy. Okay, I considered putting Healing Wish on here, and honestly, I probably still can. I just, with the same thing with the Spike and Toxic Spike situation, I would have to change Healing Wish to probably Heal Wish. And even then, I'm not sure how that would work. But it's one of those things I have to think about when I do it. So, but this filter works the same as just the others. Now, the team checklist is something that took a little bit of time. Mostly because these formulas are annoying, and if you guys know me from doing the draft documents and stuff like that, my formulas can probably be a little difficult and hard to understand. But anyway, this is like this is a checklist to say, not necessarily requirements, just something that, talking with Leah and Kelly, just something, and I think seeing other people post stuff on Twitter and making videos, certain things that all teams or most teams should have: fire, water, grass core, fairy, dragon, steel core. Leo, I think he kind of contradicted himself with this one though. Like, he really likes psychic dark fight. Maybe he didn't contradict himself, but I know he really likes psychic dark fighting core. But I think it's one that he doesn't think you necessarily need. I can't remember. But anyway, these are 3 cores. I think there's a couple other cores that I'm just not remembering, but these were the 3 that, most teams, if not all teams, will have. 3 stealth rockers, 2 hazard removers, a dark type, a ground type, and a cleric, so heal bell aromatherapy user. The way this works and how you'll know if something has been checked off, I'm just gonna put Blastoise goes first because favorite. I'm just gonna put the Gen 1 starters, right? So automatically, like you see here, I have 2 hazard removers, Rapid Spin and Default User, checked off. Now, once I add Venusaur, if I can spell it, now my Fire, Water, Grass core gets checked off. If I do Sylveon gets Heal Bell. That's my cleric. It gets Wish too, so but yeah, there's my cleric right there. Dragonite, and then Steelix. Fire, Water, Dragon, Steel Gore gets checked off, and because Steelix is a ground type, the ground type gets checked off. Umbreon being a dark type, it gets checked off. Now I'm just gonna put rockers on here, just so you guys, you guys kind of see what I'm getting at here. I had to do it. But see, now these stealth rockers get checked off. We can do Medicham. Granted, it's one of those, Medicham being one of those situations where it in of itself is a dual typing of a core, so play that one by ear. But it checks off all the boxes just by having those types. So, you can kind of see how that works, just to make sure, your team is quote-unquote what it should be. And then last but not least, I guess, actually, let me put this back up. I'm going to put that team back up there, because once you fill out this, once you have this filled out, this will automatically populate as well. And that's if you leave the formulas alone. It'll automatically populate. So everything's here, and then everything you need. This should actually be that. And if a Pokemon is weak to rock on your team, it will say yes, and it will highlight red, meaning patch up your weakness. It's on this tab too, so you can just see if you need to patch up your weakness or not. And if you want to, and so this tab here that says week 1, you can copy this tab. Once your team is there, copy it to how many ever, or duplicate it to how many ever weeks you have. And then, just change it week 2. And then each week, just go in and fill out your opponent's team. Because I don't care at this moment. I'm just going to do that. Oh, wait. Oops, sorry, hold on. Because I had to copy it. But if you just type in your opponent's team, that'll populate. And if they have a Pokemon weak to rock, that way you can see how important rocks are to you. Like, if you're a person who really loves setting up rocks, if they don't have a team really weak to it, you get chip damage, but maybe you can game plans like it's not super necessary. It's, I don't have to fight to keep something alive. So yeah, that will automatically populate, and then you can put that back up. You can see the stats of everything, so you can know if you need to speed creep something, how fast your opponent's team. So if you have sticky webs on your team, you can speed creep your opponent. You can use that to your advantage. Yada yada yada. Anyway, that's how this doc works. The link to view it, you guys can leave comments on there as well. Like if you feel like something else should be added, leave a comment somewhere on here. Doesn't matter where, because I'll see it and then I'll answer it if I need to. But yeah, leave a comment, copy it, because you cannot type on here, it won't let you. So this is how you copy. You go to File, make a copy, change the name, doesn't matter, it's going to go to your drive in your Google, and then just click OK. That's how you make your copy, and then you can use it to your heart's content. If you don't like my formulas, you can change them, doesn't matter. But yeah, that's how this all works. This actually took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but hey, we're under 30 minutes. But yeah, leave a comment. You can leave it on the video, or you can leave it on the doc itself. I'll be able to see it on the doc if I check the doc. I'll probably check the doc a couple times a day. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how this helps you. If it helps anyone else, you can, spread this around. That's what I'm sharing it for. So everyone can mostly learn and just help themselves, I guess. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Links Forte. I'm out. Peace.